Welcome to Lesson 14, the WeatherViewer app. Now this is the first app in all of the lessons that we've presented that's really geared towards taking advantage of the tablet user interface as opposed to a phone's user interface. This app was originally designed for Android 3.1, and many of the features that we're going to demonstrate to you in this app are now available for phones as well as of Android 4, which has come out recently. So in this app, as you can see, we have a large screen that we're trying to take advantage of. In the WeatherViewer app, what we would like to do is display for you either the current weather conditions for a given city or the 5-day forecast for a given city. Now, because we have more screen real estate to work with, we can display not only the list of cities on the screen over here on the left side, but we can also display current forecast information on the right side, or you can see that current conditions is currently selected. If I touch 5-day forecast, that selects that tab in our tabbed navigation, and now I can see the 5-day forecast going forward for the currently selected city. Now, Boston is not only the currently selected city when you first load up the app, it's also the preferred city, which is indicated with the star icon. And you can change the preferred city in the app with another new feature that we're going to demonstrate, which is a long touch. So if I hold my finger on another city for a moment, you see that I get this dialog where I can set the city as the preferred, delete the city, or simply cancel. So if I hit set preferred, not only does it change the weather forecast to the selected city, but it also now made that the preferred city as well. And the preferred city is interesting in this app for two reasons. One is when you bring the app onto the screen, that city's weather will be displayed by default, number one. And then separately, we're also going to demonstrate with this app a concept called a home screen widget, and with a home screen app widget, we'll be able to display the preferred city's current weather information. And all of this weather information, by the way, is being brought into the app via a network connection and the use of the WeatherBug APIs from weatherbug.com. So among the different features that we're introducing to you here are how to take better advantage of a tablet's screen, and we're going to do that with a concept called fragments. And we actually have a couple of fragments displayed here. We have a so-called list fragment down the left side, and then we have another subclass of fragment over on the right. And fragments have a life cycle just like activities do, but what makes them different is that they can occupy part of the screen, number one, and number two, they must be housed within an activity. So the activity life cycle encompasses not only what you do in the activity, but what you do within the individual fragments that are displayed in that activity. And as you'll see, there is a fragment manager that you use to display different fragments on the screen. And in fact, I have a 5-day forecast fragment that I use to display the forecast that you see on the screen at the moment, and I have a single day forecast fragment that gives you the current conditions for this for the selected city for that day. Now, we've shown you the basic features in the app. A couple of other things I just want to point out. At the top of your apps in a tablet in Android 3, or potentially in both tablets and phones as of Android 4, you have what's called the action bar. And we're demonstrating that you can have tabbed navigation in this app, as well as showing you that you can put menu items on the action bar. And what this does is it gives you the ability to make commonly used operations appear on the screen at all times. And we do that by, first of all, telling a menu item that it should be displayed as an action. And then we also have an option called if room, which basically says if there's not enough room for a given menu item, then what will happen is in the upper right corner here, a little icon will be displayed called the overflow menu icon. And when you touch that, that's where your menu items will be displayed. Now, if you don't take an app and tell its menu items to be displayed in the action bar, then what will happen is they'll display down on the bottom in the status bar at the bottom of the screen to the right of the other default icons, which are the back button, the home button, and then the activity manager button as well, which shows you the recently opened apps so you can switch quickly between them. So if you have a regular menu in an Android app, maybe an app that was never originally designed to run on a tablet but is indeed executing on a tablet, then a menu icon can show up down in the bottom of the screen as well. Now let's go ahead and touch the home button for a moment and go to our home screen so we can demonstrate the concept of an app widget to you. So if I long touch now on my home screen, what I see are the 5 different home screens that I have to play with across the top here, and then I have a scrollable set of widgets down at the bottom here that allow me to drag these onto various home screens so that I can have access to information from the corresponding apps directly on my home screens rather than having to go open the apps. So for example, there's a couple of different weather bug widgets here, and I also have the Weather Channel app installed on my tablet. If I scroll through this, actually, let's go back to our WeatherViewer, which is right here. Here's our WeatherViewer app widget, and if I simply touch this, it'll go on to the currently selected home screen, which by default is the one in the center. If I then go to that home screen, there is my app widget, and most recently I set Chicago as the preferred city. So right now it is displaying for me the current weather conditions in Chicago. And a couple of things about the app widgets. First of all, if you long touch them, you can move them around. If you want to get rid of it, you can drag it all the way up to the corner here where you see the trash icon, and when you put it over remove, you see it turns red because that indicates that you're about to get rid of it. And when you let go after a long touch, you see the sizing handles. App widgets can be made to be resizable. Whoops, excuse me. That was another feature I want to demonstrate, which is touching the app widget to go to the app. But I can stretch the app widget in different directions to resize it as well. And these are all features that we're going to demonstrate to you in this app. And then finally, if I touch the app widget itself, you can see that it brings me right back to the app. Now, there is one other thing about the app widget that I want to talk about. We're going to be introducing in this app a concept called broadcast receivers. When you install the app widget on the home screen, it needs to keep track of what the preferred city is. So when the app changes the preferred city, or I should say when the user changes the preferred city from within the app, we broadcast a message that this app widget receives, and then it changes the preferred city so that the proper weather information will be displayed for the user on their home screen. So that's one way that the app widget gets updated. And then separately, weather is changing all the time. So we also have the app widget configured in this example so that every certain amount of time the data will be updated. In fact, it's every hour, and that means as the user uses their tablet throughout the day, every time they come back after an hour has passed, they should see the most up-to-date weather condition information being displayed in their app widget. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention to you about test driving this app is that because we're using the WeatherBug Web Services APIs, you're going to have to go get and register for your own WeatherBug API key. So if you go to the website weather.weatherbug.com/desktop-weather/api.html, you'll be able to register for an API key there. And then once you've done that, you need to go into our source code and you have to replace the cases where you see your API key in our code. And this happens in a couple of different places. On line 62 of the class read location task, on line 66 of the class read forecast task, and on line 53 of the class read 5-day forecast task as well. And if you don't go and place your API key in the spot where the words your API key appear in our code, then you will simply not get back any data from the web services when you run the app on your own device or in the emulator.